Today I've got with me the very talented Dr. Shagun Kapoor. She has got All India Rank 1 in the AIIMS organized INISSET exam for MCh Gynecologic Oncology. Many congratulations on this, Dr. Shagun.
So much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
So, the purpose of this interview is to discuss with you your strategy, how you prepared so that we help the junior students. So, let's start with where you've done your UG and PG from and when did you complete your PG?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have done my UG from Lady Harding Medical College, completed it in 2019. In 2020, I took a drop year and then I was selected for obstetrics and gynecology names New Delhi. I joined in 2021 January and I completed my post graduation in 2024 January itself.
So it seems like just a few years ago you have just completed your MBBS, 2019 only.
Yes,
2020 you started teaching. So 2019 you completed MBBS and
yes,
24 you have completed your PG.
yes, ma'am.
And after that, what were you doing?
Ma'am, so I gave my senior residency exam of AIMS simultaneously. I was selected there, and so I continued my senior residency. I previously planned that before taking MCH, I want to do 1 year senior residency. I want to rule out all my options, that I have no interest in any other field. So that was the plan, ma'am. I completed my senior. I was actually doing my senior residency till May. So in NEET, I secured a rank of 11. So
Oh, wonderful.
after that, ma'am, I resigned on 1st May because I had my exam on 25th May. This
Okay.
and
And
there was only one seat. I knew I have to give my best shot. So that's why.
so when did you decide that you'll do gynecologic oncology?
Ma'am, actually, in my junior residency itself, in my second year, I loved scrubbing in the oncology surgeries. My guide
Shashank?
was also in gynec oncology.
Oh,
So in my fifth semester and sixth semester, particularly, I was drawn towards the academics aspect of the gynec oncology. I participated in multiple quizzes, and also I participated in a lot of conferences. So that grew my interest grew in this field, and I was very sure that I want to go in gynec oncology only.
and how was your preparation? Were you preparing from your PG times?
Ma'am, I did not know there is any app in my PG time. I had no idea about any app. I read the standard books. I did not know there's an app for PG also, because I think in 2000, I don't know, in 2024 I was not looking for these things. So I read from the
So
standard
how was
books.
your reading in your JR ship? You read from standard books.
Ma'am, I read from standard books. I always carried an iPad with me. In
Okay.
fact, all
During
of
the JR ship, you were into reading
into
books.
reading, yes, ma'am. All
What
my
type of books?
Ma'am, in obstetrics, I read Williams. Then for operative aspect, I read Thielens. For gynecology, I read Berwick and Novak. And hackers, I read certain aspects of oncology in my JRship. I read areas. Also, there are a lot of books I've read. All the standard textbooks.
And for the exam, how did you prepare? Had
Ma'am,
you
for
made notes from the standard books or you had to resort to a smaller book for the exam?
I had made notes in my PG, but somehow I lost them. I did not have it in my senior residency. So in senior residency, I got to know
So
about.
for the foundation, for not for the foundation, for the final exam, the theory exam, what did you do?
I made notes of the important topics. It is actually not possible to make notes of your entire post graduation course. You have to be very selective of what topics you need to make notes. Mostly the previously repeated questions and all. I had notes, but then I read from the books and from the books itself.
The standard books that you were reading, you stuck to those even for your exam preparation.
Yes, ma'am, for my exam
Achha,
preparation.
because what happens is just before the exam, people switch to smaller books if they don't have their own notes. So you stuck to those books even before your final
Yes,
exam, the
ma'am.
theory exam.
Yes, I was told by my seniors that you can read the basics of obstetrics like anatomy, physiology from standard smaller books, and just read the disease sites from the Williams and all these standard books. But somehow it did not make sense to me. I read everything from Williams, even the first 10 chapters, which we have been told that you can skip from Williams. I
So you've read those chapters.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So did you read guidelines before finishing your?
Yes, ma'am. I in actually in our institute, everything is so guideline based that everyone follows those guidelines. But in my entire residency, I was reading all the guidelines, NICE, RCOG. ACOG for that matter. I used to compare what's written where, and although it's very confusing for a junior resident. So
Yes.
I tried my best to read all those guidelines. I gave my MRCOG also part one. It helped me that way.
So does every resident in AIIMS read so much?
Ma'am, I don't know about that.
Because
Depends.
you seem very academically oriented. You are reading everything, you're reading guidelines, and there are classes also. So that really helps in all the exams, in your university exam as well as for the NEET SS or INISS. Uh, right. So you had a lot of reading before your final exam. After the final exam, come to 2024. How was the preparation after that?
Ma'am, in 2024, I was initially focusing only on the senior residency. I wanted to learn the operative aspect. I wanted to be confident if I'm stepping in the OT that I'm confident in doing the basic surgeries at least. So I started my preparation in November. I had joined Reproneet app in Jan itself when I started my senior residency.
This
So
was Jan 2024.
yes, ma'am. When I started my senior residency, I joined the Reproneet app. I used to watch your videos. I loved watching your videos. I loved how the notes were so precise. It really helped me a lot. So, but actually, with senior residency, it is very difficult to keep your academics up to the date. So that way, it was taking a little bit of time, and I was sure that I wanted to give 1 year of senior residency. When I wanted to pursue 1 year of senior residency, so I took my time.
So how much would you read after January? What were your sources after January 2024? What were your sources of reading? You had little time. You had to concentrate on your clinical work also.
Ma'am, I read mostly. I read Hackers twice.
Okay,
Uh,
during you have read because there was good 1 year. So
yes, ma'am. I read it first time. I read it. I was not very sure that I can recall everything it's written there. There are the pathology chapter is so extensive that you have to remember all the specific pathology types, and it is very difficult to remember it in the first reading. So I read it the second time after November. I completed it in the first month. I went through all the notes written in your app. Like it was very helpful because I tried to memorize it as much as I can. And after that, ma'am, that was the main source. I read all the guidelines. IR, RCOG is
you
not
listen
that.
to the videos also and notes also.
Ma'am, videos I used to listen in 2x. Matlab, because it was very difficult to take
You've
that much
already
time
read the
out, so I
basic
listened in
books.
2x. I read only the difficult parts.
Yes, you've
Yes, ma'am.
already
I
read
had
so much
already
that you
read.
understand in 2x speed.
Yes, ma'am.
So you would do the
And
videos and
other than that, yes, ma'am. All the videos, all the notes, all the question banks. I try to do as many questions as I can find online from the previous year, especially on any. Mostly, my standard app was Reproneet, and then on any other app, if I used to find any new question, I will add in my notes and everything.
so you had joined other apps also.
Ma'am, I took question bank from other apps. I did not join extensive. I just relied on Reproneet. I think you have covered the oncology question bank. The question bank I've been provided from Reproneet was much more reliable, and the questions of INIS especially, they are more relatable if I'm doing Reproneet questions. Other apps, they are actually teaching from Williams Gynecology also. No one reads Williams Gynecology.
Williams Gynecology. I remember a few JRs used to read, and when I read, I thought that this is suboptimal or
Has not
not
been
good enough.
updated, ma'am, since a long time.
Yes,
Uh,
and other also it's too short. You can't read oncology from gynecology, Williams Gynecology. Absolutely
I
not.
in fact, when I was never preparing for NEET SS, ma'am. I was always preparing for INISS. So NEET SS was never my target, but I got to rank of 11, and that was solely because I read the infertility part as well from your app. So it helped me a lot. The basics of infertility and everything. I was able to crack those questions in NEET SS. So I think ReproNEET is the best platform for anyone to crack INI in particular NEET also, because I was preparing for INI, so that was the only way I was
But then
look.
you got such a good rank in NEET SS.
Yes, because I read obstetrics and gynecology also from that. Yes.
So it's nice. I believe that apart from the rank, you also have got a lot of knowledge since you've been reading for the last 4 or 5 years. You've just been reading obs and gynae from proper sources, from the best
I
sources.
enjoyed reading obstetrics and gynecology, ma'am. It did not look like a lot of work because I was
Yes.
not a very bright student in my MBBS. I was average. But when I joined obstetrics and gynecology, somehow I started loving the subject.
Because you're reading so much, so you've started. It is a
Yes, ma'am.
relationship. It's a cycle. You love it, you read it, you love it more.
Yes, ma'am, definitely. Even the
Nice.
research part, I remember in I had to read stats, and in the miscellaneous category, I saw the stats. I think you've uploaded two documents for that. I went through all the stats before my INI because I'm sure they will always ask two. They will always ask two questions from stats. It's standard.
Yes.
Yes, and they're very basic questions: alpha error, beta error, or something of that sort.
So, any tips that you would want to give to the next batch?
Ma'am, I always advise my fellow juniors that always read from the standard books. It is not a one year preparation or even a 6 months preparation. It is a 3 4 year preparation.
INISS is a 3 4 year preparation.
Yes, ma'am. I think sticking to the basics is very important. INI the questions which are asked are very simple. They're very logical. You can answer. I think
But
they're very
for me, to answer the recalls is easiest for INISS.
they
I
ask a lot
think
of
it is. They're standard questions. I know where they are asked from. Very standard. Nothing will change. Not like something from the ward rounds they'll ask. Not like
very
something from their own experience they'll ask. They'll ask standard questions which are protocols.
yes, and the seed, there's only one seed. But if you approach the preparation in a correct manner, like you go through all the recalls are the most important thing. If you have to crack iron, and there's nothing more important than recalls. Especially, I know they have asked Frederick's criteria, vulvodynia, I don't know, dozen times till now. I was surprised how it was not in this paper, but then there were few, at least 15 or 20 questions which I saw, and I was like, they've already asked this question
And
previously.
this year, so many people have qualified. So many have got more than 50%.
Yes, ma'am. The paper was easy. There were only 5 or 10 tricky questions, which were mostly like something you can answer if you've read all the guidelines, the ESGO guideline, the NCCN guideline, the FIGO guidelines, everything.
So Dr. Shagun finds it easy because she had read for so many years. Otherwise, INISS is a difficult paper. For someone who has read everything, it is easy. The NEET SS, it's not easy for even for someone who has read everything because they'll ask anything from anywhere.
Yes, this is difficult, ma'am. I
Non-self sources
never
also
thought.
they'll ask.
Yes, ma'am. I never thought I'll secure a good rank in NEET as well. NEET was difficult for me because I thought I'll have to go. I'll have to read obstetrics and gynecology in thorough detail. And since I was doing my senior residency, I don't have that much time.
But your rank is perfect, rank 11.
Ma'am, it was, I don't know, I just feel grateful. Maybe my luck was good that day. I don't know.
So the exam must have been good. You have read so much, so it was easier for you. So INISS, if you have read everything, if you are a master, it is easy for you. NEET SS and FET, even if you have read everything, though you're not very confident because
Yes.
they'll ask from anywhere. Same for PDCT, you cannot be confident. So any we were discussing about what tips would you give. Now imagine a student who has not read anything in their PG times. It's difficult. They had a life, whatever they had their own struggles. They've not read. So what to do if they have 1 year time to prepare for it?
It's my personal opinion that now the paper is not hacker based. It is more of guideline based paper. They will ask,
2020 and 22, it was hacker.
yes, ma'am.
After that, the last three, 4 papers I've seen, hacker is hardly
They
the
are
same.
not focusing on the causative, like they are focusing more on the management plan of the patient. Like
Yes,
what will,
because it's changing. No, gynecologic oncology is an evolving branch.
yes,
The
ma'am.
journals are new, and there are so many studies, so many guidelines being
Lot of
published.
trials.
What
I read so many trials. I made notes from NCCN guidelines. I read all the trials, the medonco chemotherapy trials. I don't know why did I read all these trials, but I was just scared what question they might ask. But then they asked, there were only two trials based question. One was on shape trial, and the other I cannot recall, but it was also very easy. And maybe anyone can answer that. So there are some basic trials. Everyone would know that. They expect you to know that. So you have to go through all the guidelines, ESCO, NCCN. I would suggest go through the flowcharts. They ask very direct questions from the flowcharts, like what do you skip? What is the adjuvant treatment for stage one germ cell tumor, or all these things. Then they will FIGO guidelines you have to read at least 4 to 5 times. And personally speaking, ma'am, I've read ESGO and FIGO at least 4 to 5 times every guideline. Larotrectinib. So they were just asking what. NTRK gene fusion inhibitor. They were just
Yes,
asking.
so I was so proud of that question. I had asked it the other way around that why is NRTK something I had asked about larotrectinib, and they had asked it the other way around that you have to give this drug, which test you will do, something around that. I had just come across that question. I had put it, so I was really proud.
Yes.
I was discussing with my husband that see, I put this question, and they have asked this question.
If you are thorough with Reproneet,
Apart from see, Berek and Hacker, they don't have. Suppose I'm telling you a student who's never read, they don't have time.
man, you have to read Reproneet, not just once, twice, or at least thrice. So
And
if you are
but so Reproneet at least once or twice you will have to do if you have not read Berek and Hacker and all. And then you will have time to finish ESGO and FIGO guidelines because I cover most of the points in the app
You
only.
have already covered ESGO guidelines. I've seen you have already covered for endometrial cancer and everything. They're already there in Reproneet. So if you read the course of the app twice or at least thrice, you have already done 70 or 80% of the course. Now the rest thing is how many questions you can do. You can find your answers from that. You can see the alternate options. That's it, ma'am.
Right. This is I really wanted to hear because this will be helpful to students. No,
Yes, ma'am,
not
definitely.
everybody has read. So 3 years have gone by and they've not read anything. But
I
still
think
things.
6 months is sufficient. I did my senior residency and was preparing from Reproneet app for the 6 months. So 6 months with your senior residency and 20 days before exam, you have to be fully focused on that exam. That is sufficient, ma'am.
That's very nice, Dr. Shagun. You would like to thank anyone else for your
Ma'am,
success?
I would like to thank you, first of all, because if I would not have stepped on this app, because the data is there, but how to read that, how to approach that. So that is very important. And when I used to see your videos, I was my concepts my concepts are more clear after watching those videos. So that is a very important thing. And secondly, I would like to thank my colleagues and my friends who supported me in this journey because handling everything with hectic duties and then asking them to cover it for you, it is very difficult. So all those things also, and my guide also, like I was very inspired by my guide, and that was my primary inspiration for pursuing this field.
It was wonderful having you over.
Yes, ma'am. For interview, I would like to advise one thing for people who are doing their MD right now, or MS right now. For them, it is important to have some publication in oncology. If you are coming in a central institute, I have seen they will always ask what are your publications, or if you have attended any conference, whether national or an international. So that is very important. They usually give more marks based on that. And
Yes.
secondly,
So people are lucky sometimes that without any relation to gynecologic oncology, they get a seat when there is not a worthy candidate is not there. But when
yes,
there is someone who has got a gynecologic oncology research, some work in this field,
it's
then
always better.
will be preferred. So if you're in a central institute and if you are preparing for this seat, then have a thesis, on one of the current topics of
Any
gynecology.
publication, they just want to see that if the
Any
student is
any
interested in
research work,
research. Yes,
oncology.
any research work, they just want to see the, because we all know research work, maybe maybe in AIIMS they are more focused on that, but then they just want to know that whether the student is interested in research work or not.